Hello, today we have a wonderful show for you. This is Larisha Speaks. Today I have the director of my two documentaries. We're going to ask him a couple of questions. We're going to get to know him a little bit better. And we're going to find out who he is, the work that he does, and we're going to have an intimate conversation with him regarding that. So, this show is going to be very, very special, very, very important because we have a special guest, and he'll be with us, shortly. A little bit about him. He's, in addition to being a documentary director, producer, he does music videos. He's been doing this for over 20 something years. He does rap videos. Some of my favorite artists that he's had one on one conversations with, he's actually friends with. So we're going to get to know him better. Okay. So here we are again. Hi, Mr. Jackson. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm okay. I want you to introduce yourself to the
Sure.
audience.
Yeah, my name is Richard Jackson. I'm a filmmaker originally from New York, and I did make a lot of documentaries and short films and music videos and stuff like that.
And how long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it for, about 16 years on and off, but I'd say about 10 years professionally. So in that time, I've done about 14 different films, like documentaries, and then a countless number of music videos and mentorship and all kinds of stuff.
Cool, cool. And what is your favorite interview? You interviewed some of my favorites. You actually one of close friends with one of my favorites, Mr. Mr. Brick City himself, Mr.
Yes.
Reggie Noble.
Yeah, no, that was an interesting interview, and that changed a lot. If- they've all been kind of favorites for different reasons. Biggie was a big one, no pun intended. That was I was able to go out to Brooklyn and be in his space, and just I think that was like the first time I went to an artist's house to do an interview, and I remember them. I put in the request, and they got back to me, and they said, "Well, do you want to go out to Brooklyn?" And I'm like, yeah, okay, and just tried to play it off like it was just like an everyday thing. But I'm like, so I'm so used to, I was used at that time to going down to record labels or even to a studio, but to be in somebody's home and to know that that place has become kind of synonymous with him and his legacy. He's got the street named after him, and that place was in videos and stuff. Um, Nas was very interesting. ODB was probably one of my favorites too. He was. Not at all as people expected. And I guess I caught him on one of those days where he was just super introspective and just thinking about life. And we had a good afternoon. Buju Banton, that was really cool. And Prodigy from Mob Deep, that was definitely a good one. But yeah, I don't do the favorite thing. I mean, in moving into documentary work later on in life and continuing in that kind of vein of journalism and getting to meet people and ask questions, I've learned as much from what somebody would just call a regular person as I ever did from anybody that's a performing artist or anything like that. So um, you know, I've taken away a lot from all of the interviews.
Right, right. Okay, good. You got some good ones there. You do. You have some really, really good ones. I want to tell the audience how I met you, and I don't want to sound stalkish, but I saw the I Am Greg Hill documentary,
Hmm.
and like that, it literally broke my heart. And I reached out to you on Instagram,
Yep.
and I was like, oh my God, and I was just like, this was amazing, and and we just started talking, and I had a couple of people who I already agreed to do my documentary because I
Hmm.
was already in my head. But after seeing what you did with that documentary, I knew you were the one.
Thank
Like
you so
I
much.
knew. I was just like, no, I have to have you do it. Like, can you please? And that to me was very touching how it was. And I want everybody to go out and see it. It's available on Amazon. That's where I saw it at. I purchased it and saw it on there. It's a very, very good documentary. How did you go about meeting the family for that documentary?
Thank you so much, first and foremost. And Yeah, like you, I was really just kind of blown away by the story. It started hitting national press, because I didn't hear about it when it initially happened. And for those who don't know, Greg Hill was a gentleman that lived in Fort Pierce, Florida, which is a small town, probably about an hour and a half away from where I am in the West Palm Beach area. And it was he was in his garage playing music loud. Somebody complained. Police showed up, and less than 5 minutes after a 911 call is placed about the music, you have a guy who's shot in his home. So, as somebody who's hung out in his garage and listened to music and just kind of enjoyed being at peace, it struck me. Also he was a father of three, so for me, that was the most important thing. And I feel like when it comes to telling stories, especially about something that's an incident, you know, not everybody's going to go through that incident, which is, Greg being killed, but we all are going to lose somebody, and we all have somebody that's important to us in some way or another. And beyond the headlines of a black man shot, and there's a lot to that story in and of itself. There's a family, there are children, there are loved ones, and I wanted to make something that one day when his kids are old enough and they see it for themselves, they get to hear things about their dad that are positive, and not just what's put out in the news, and not just about that incident. So being able to tell a personal story and have it connect with people, I think is kind of like guiding force of what I try to do, and was very important in that story.
I commend you for that because
Yeah.
I know with me even having to be interviewed and keep telling my story over and over again, I know it can be emotional. So
Mhm.
I thank you for that, allowing people and just helping them tell their story and putting it in a way, even the way my documentary trailer was done. It was like perfect. And I have like in my head, this is what I want to say and this is how. But you have a way of putting it out there for everyone to see, not subjective, just the facts are the facts, and I do appreciate you for that.
you know,
And
I One of the things I think was kind of a gift and a curse was when I was in junior high school. I was on the debate team, and I learned to have to defend things that I didn't always believe in. But what that's done for me is that's given me a chance to examine things from different sides. And so when I'm presenting something to people, I hear those other voices that say, "Oh, that can't be," and I hear those voices saying, "No, that's my truth." And I want to put it in a way that, it's factual, and again, we all experience things on an emotional level, so we have to cover the emotional sides of things and the toll that it takes on people, as well as stating the facts and making it clear so that way people understand.
yeah. I want to know what was when you got that DM because I know I'm energetic, even though I'm stressed and I'm in my head. I didn't hit a lot of people up in their DMs. What was your first reaction to hearing my story and then to hearing like my nephew's story and what happened? What was your first reaction?
My first reaction was, I want to say it sometimes that this can't be life, but at the same time, I read enough in the news and I see enough to know that these are things that go on, and we have a tendency to kind of, look past them and just see what's in the headlines. Even just this weekend, I'm looking at something on about some artists, and I'm like, man, I can't believe people aren't talking more about this. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of people trying to feed people in Palestine get blown up, and it's like, why aren't we talking about this? So um, my gut was this needs to be told in a responsible way, and knowing Jersey, knowing, how even in the mid 80s and early 90s, you would, oh, the Klan is out in Jersey still, and all these different things. Because coming from New York, we're close, but we're separated a little bit. And I was born in Jersey, but I always had a mental connection to it. But um, I got it as soon as you started telling me. And then when in regards to your nephew, I just think that that's one of the biggest travesties, aside from just the intricacies of who he is and what he struggles with. to now bearing a burden that's unduly placed on him because of your fight for justice.
Yeah. Yeah. When you were going through, when you did your research, what was the most shocking? Were you shocked by anything, or were you just like, oh, well, this is what Black Americans go through, or was anything as far as like the prosecutor, them transferring his case, like was there anything in there that?
Absolutely. For me, it was when I got a hold of the audio of the court audio, and I could hear his voice. I could hear the confusion. I could hear what felt like legal entities conspiring, and a judge who may think that he's being sympathetic, or giving some kind of space for him to make these decisions for himself, but who can't possibly hear what's going on and think that this is normal, this is okay, and this is right. I hear a shuffle of defense attorneys who don't seem like they really know him, and just another number passing through. So, and this is something that's um, the prison industrial complex, the those sets of systems, everything that comes with it, from the mental health to isolation to over medicating, and all these various things have been something that have been on my radar for a while and have bothered me. And there was a part of me that felt like, well, this is a good opportunity to kind of incorporate those things into this story, even though I know its basis and its foundation is the retaliation and everything else like that. But you know, at the end of the day, there's a human being that's suffering in a system because of all these other conditions that we have going on.
Yeah, yeah, it's really hard for me to
And
try to.
a family that's out here, dealing with being separated from their loved one. I mean, sitting there with your cousin, I believe, or your niece, who was sitting there talking about him, and just gave such a powerful interview in regards to watching him change, and not being able to be with him. And people are giving up their prime years of life to a prison system. And that's just unconscionable, man.
Yeah, it is a hard one. It is a hard one.
So
Okay.
you were asking about things that stood out about your nephew's case. One of the other aspects that stood out so much is how difficult the state has made it to be able to interview him, to converse with him. They have to put you on special lists, and they won't accept the power of attorney in order for somebody to sign for him, just to have a conversation. And it feels so much as if they're doing everything they can to put up extra barriers for communication. And that just shows you how powerful the words and the story are, because they don't want that being out while they can still control the narrative and while they can still control the situation.
And that's why I call it the corruption of the courts, because it's not just the fact that, okay, you have somebody who you found guilty under mysterious circumstances, but that person have rights. And the hardest part for me is the fact that he does not even understand what his rights are. And they know this, and they're using that to abuse him. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that you are a director for a movie and you wanted to get in contact with him, but his own attorney cannot get in contact with him.
Right.
They have hearings for him without his attorney present. And when I say it's a corruption of the courts, I don't know if you know, I called the FBI
Mm-hmm.
and the Department of Justice, and they literally asked me, why am I calling them? Like, what are you? Your job is public corruption.
Right.
Who do you think had the charge on the corrupt senator who has the Department of Justice, the FBI? Public corruption is a crime. So
Mm-hmm.
these people are targeting him and not allowing him to call home, not having it's just it's a hard situation. It's a hard situation. And I think they think that I was just gonna sit here and watch them do this corruption and not do anything about it.
And that's what they guarantee, what they bank on in so many cases, because people don't know where to turn to, and they don't have a way to amplify their voice. And they make a video and 10 people watch it, but the word doesn't get out there, and it's up for all of us, like a relay, to take the baton and carry it just a little bit further. It costs nothing to share a link or to tell somebody about something. That's very difficult for people to, to do sometimes, unless it's involving jokes or memes, or somebody twerking or something. So
Listen, and it's so the one thing I ask people, and I tell people this because I have family in Ohio, Georgia, Florida. I have family in almost 15, 17 Missouri. I just ask them, could you just please share my story? I just need you to get out. I just need you to get out and share my story, because if you share it and then you ask other people to share it, that is enough to bring attention to it. And like you say, you didn't, I sent you a text message last night and you didn't get it to this morning. A lot of that is happening with my forms of communication. So I know that I have this barrier and that I'm asking people to help because that's the least, I don't even want the money, just the help and share. And I can't get that. And it's hurtful.
mhm.
It's hurtful. But the stuff that they're doing to him, what's shocking to me about all of it is the fact that not that they are abusing their power, that they're committing the corruption, that they are going after him in retaliation to me, is the fact that they think I'm gonna just sit there and just take it.
Yeah,
That's
because
the most like, I'm just gonna take it. That's the question. That's it. Is there anything that is there anything about, because I'm kind of like, I don't know. Is there anything about me that you see that's different than you you notice? Because my fight is kind of like I won't give up. But is there anything like, you know?
no, I appreciate and your support, especially of your um, co-plaintiffs in the case, where you guys are seeking to hold Middlesex County accountable for what they've done, and the support that you've offered to them, because these are women that are older than you, and they lean on you. And I think that that's very admirable and very commendable. And I think that more people who are young need to stand up. We get complacent, we get comfortable, and um, as long as there's food on my plate, it doesn't matter what somebody else is going through. But I don't see that in you, and I see you picking up and standing up for other people, and what
Oh,
goes on. And it just really adds support to what it is that you're saying, because you're not letting your foot off the gas. Let people forget about these things, and I respect that.
thank you. I appreciate it. Is it any you've been working on a couple of documentaries since, and a
Mhm.
couple of other movies and things like that since you've done mine. Is there anything you're doing now that you're working on?
There's a couple of things that I'm looking to get into. I do have some things.
It's
Always got
freezing.
work in progress. What's that?
No, it's free. It's like freezing what you're saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've always got some kind of work in progress, and there are some things, again. There's um, not really, and not anything I can really speak on, because some of them aren't concrete. But there are some very interesting conversations that I think are out there, that some of these projects can raise, and so I'm looking forward to just continuing to work.
Do you like working in the justice field? I guess I don't get the injustice field.
Oh man, quite a few times I've told myself, I need to do something funny. I need to find a story where I can, make jokes and make light of things, and kind of, cleanse my palate a little bit, because there's a lot of I deal with a lot of death. I deal with a lot of sorrow and heavy subjects, and yeah, sometimes it weighs down. But I think that, kind of what they say, that the Lord doesn't give you more than you can handle. I've got some shoulders that can bear some things, and if that's my responsibility and it's something that I have to do, then I have to do it. But yeah, I would love to just be able to just get away
Right.
from
Well,
all
look,
this.
I'm a comedian. I'm a comedian, so I want to do something with that one because I want to do my journey in comedy. So that could be our next one before we go into the corruption again.
Okay.
That'll be our next one before we go into corruption. And anything else you want to leave the people with?
Uh, just continue to tune in. We've got some great stories coming out in the works. We've got two films that are pretty much wrapped and done. I mean, there's going to be more because these stories are evolving, and there's going to be some addendums to the films. But um, already there's a lot of compelling information, and I think that you are a good resource to hear what's going on, or if not hear what's going on, let's discuss some solutions and try to figure some of these things out. So,
Yeah. I definitely want to do the comedy one. I definitely want to do the comedy one because that one was like, I did a couple of shows, and you could see me going to the places and getting booed. So hopefully that'll bring because you got to balance it. With me, I have to deal with it. My brother was murdered in the middle of all of this. So
mm,
fighting for my nephew, dealing with that, it's a lot on you. So
mhm.
if I could bring some joy to you with my comedy, I wouldn't mind it at all. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for, doing my story, helping me get it out, um, for being a voice because you're the voice for me and the other two women and for my nephew. You helped us get it on film. And it was bigger than just doing it just to do it. I wanted it to mean something. And I don't think you understand the part you took in the history of this because they're usually silence people when they have a lawsuit. And I refuse to be silent. And I thank you for allowing me, helping me to get my voice out there.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having that faith in me and allowing me to carry that story out.
Yeah, no, because when I had again, I had a guy, I did a contract and everything. And when I saw yours, I said, no, I got to do it with him. I got to do it with him because, like, I really felt. I don't want to sound all like the energy, but just the fact that what you put into the I Am Greg Hill documentary, I needed somebody who didn't see this as, okay, I got a job to do. I'm getting a check. I got to go to work.
Hmm.
And it meant a lot to me. It really did. It really does mean a lot to me. So I
Well,
appreciate it.
so,
Okay, I do thank you for again helping me and allowing me to tell my story
oh, no, thank you.
because we had pushed pause on the interview and then we started talking about oh wait this so we came back to it but I really do appreciate that.
No, my pleasure.